Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another web development video. Today I want to talk about how I completed a coding boot camp while I had a newborn and a toddler and I was working full-time. This is sort of my coding boot camp story, how I was able to do it, and I wanted to share that with you in hopes that maybe I can help some other people that are kind of struggling or thinking about, can I do a coding boot camp if I have kids or if I have a job. Before I do, please go ahead and remember to subscribe. And if you have any questions, go ahead and type them out in the comments below and I'll do my best to respond to you in a timely manner. But otherwise, I'll get to the video. So how I completed a coding boot camp with a newborn and toddler while working full time, it was hard. And I'll just kind of tell the story from the beginning. So I had wanted to learn programming for a couple of years. And I knew that learning to code could open up a lot of future opportunities for myself. At this point, it's 2016. And as I'm making this video right now, it's 2020. And back in 2016, I started out just Googling how to learn how to code. And I poked around a few tutorials and I took an hour and I wrote a hello world in JavaScript. And I didn't know any code whatsoever at that point. And I found it was really fun. And I was kind of hooked and I thought, hey, this seems pretty easy. And a couple of weeks later, I was kind of learning the basics. And then after a couple of months of that, my first thoughts of getting a developer job started popping up. Maybe I could be a developer. And I had heard the stories of the self-taught developer and I was kind of thinking maybe I could be one of those. And at that time, I was knee-deep in house remodel and I had a baby on the way. And I was really surprised when 6 months had gone by and I hadn't made any progress at all. I was still confused with basic syntax, and I was only studying for maybe a couple of hours a week. And I really realized that I wasn't making progress. So I redoubled my efforts and I decided I was going to start studying on my daily train commute, which was about 35 or 40 minutes at that point. And then I slowly started realizing that coding is actually really hard. It's just an overwhelming amount of material to learn, especially while you're working full time. And there's your known unknowns and your unknown unknowns. So your known unknowns are the things that you know that you don't know. And then your unknown unknowns are things that it's concepts you don't even have an idea that they're out there. And I was getting lost in trying to learn language syntax and routing and front end and back end and databases and frameworks. And I was all over the place. Algorithms, deployment. I just really wanted some direction and some guidance and to learn best practices and really start to make progress because I wasn't going anywhere. And so I decided to join a coding boot camp. But I knew, I shouldn't start from zero. And I knew that I should do my best to prep myself for it. And many boot camps will actually test your knowledge during the application progress. So they'll expect you to know the basics of language, then have the right attitude about going into the boot camp. And for me, I'd already spent a couple of years of slowly learning the basics of JavaScript. By the time I decided that I was actually going to join a boot camp, it was 2018. So it'd been a couple of years of me kind of fiddling around on my own every few weeks trying to learn. And I had made a couple of small projects, tutorial projects with HTML and CSS and vanilla JavaScript. And I spent a little bit of time on freecodecamp.com. I managed to make it, I think, through a couple of projects and most of the basic JavaScript syntax at that point. And knowing this, when I was looking at going into a coding boot camp, I knew that I'd heard that they were really hard and they go at a fast pace and that there isn't really any time to play catch up. And I knew that I was going to be coding every day for months. So I decided that I was going to have to prepare myself for this by studying every day for an hour, the month before my start date, to get used to that, and as well to try to get as ready as I could, learn as much as I could before I started. And some of my cohorts in that boot camp really struggled with basic JavaScript and CSS and HTML because I don't think they spent enough time preparing, to be honest. So at this point, I knew that I was going to need to set up my life. So I have a full-time job. I was going to take an intensive course and it was going to take up an enormous amount of my time. And when I was in the boot camp, I spent every minute available I had studying and I still had trouble keeping up. I made sure that I finished any upcoming matters that need to be attending to. So I needed to support my family while I was attending. So I chose an online course. That was the way that I went. But the trade-off with that is that the course is going to take longer than an in-person course. So in-person courses, a lot of times you'll hear it's like 3 months. So the online course was 5 months. It's actually more like 6 months. And then plus there was a month before that where they wanted you to do prep work. So it's actually more like 7 months. So I talked to my wife and we decided to take this course during the fall and the winter when I'd have like less yard work to do and less social events to miss out on. I also knew that fall and winter, those have a couple additional holidays, which I used to study. So, Thanksgiving, I was studying, and Christmas break, New Year's, I was studying. And I knew that my work schedule for my actual 9-to-5 job would have less busy weeks requiring me to work extra hours. So at this point, I'm also, I'm finishing up normal life projects, like, winterizing my house, and I kind of buttoned up a lot of my home improvement projects and put them on hold. And I went through and set up my workstation at my desk with some additional monitors and got everything nice. And I also decided, I'm going to have to kind of prepare myself physically for this because I'm going to be sitting in a 9-to-5. And then I had a 2-hour commute, 1 hour each way. It's maybe more like 2.5. And I kind of changed my diet around, knowing that I'm going to have to change my sleep routine and get up early every day, including the weekends, and stay up late. So I kind of tried to cut out bread, sugar, alcohol, and knowing that I was going to have to get up early and be productive before the kids wake up. And I was trying to work out as much as I could, thinking that maybe I could try to keep that as a habit through the course. And at this point, I do have a baby and a toddler at this point when I'm joining it. So I had basically a 2-year-old and a newborn. And I knew that I was going to need help in this course. So I read everything I could find in forums about Bootcamp experience, talked with some developer friends that I knew, some that have gone through some sort of course before, some that hadn't. And I spent a bunch of time reading and rereading course expectations, and I discussed with the admissions what to expect, and I asked as many questions as I could think of, and discussed my concerns that I might have with my wife, my friends, to help me focus my thinking. And I knew that I was going to have to also optimize my time here. So I thought, what are areas that I can optimize my time with? I listened to lectures and videos while I was driving. I just listened, didn't watch. Now I wasn't able to watch the screen, but I could still get familiar with concepts or rewatch old materials or even ask questions on speaker mode. And then, a lot of times in this coding bootcamp, I had to turn off my phone. At this point, I'm in it and I'm doing everything that I can. And I realized that I'd spent 5 minutes while I'm supposed to be coding looking at text or Twitter or Facebook, and that it was just eating up my limited time. So I had to turn off my phone, and I had to dedicate time to just code. So I had to set time in my schedule to work on projects. This meant stopping whatever I was doing and going to study. So at a certain time, I don't remember exactly what it was right now, but we'll say it's 8 p.m. because it was probably something like 8 p.m. I would just be done and I would go work, and I would have to have a stop time. And otherwise I might just continue working, or I might try to quit early. So I had set times, and I did that so I could try to reach a quota of 30 hours a week of study time. Now, remember, I have a full-time job. I have a 40-hour-a-week job on top of this, plus a 2 to 2.5 hour commute. So I am busy at this point. So this took a ton of time. So I had to kind of disengage from a lot of areas of life. So I knew, like, I got to take care of my family and help with my kids actually. But I stopped seeing any of my friends or attending anything social or playing video games. I quit watching any TV. And I only spent like predetermined times, like Saturday nights, to watch a movie with my wife. And that's at home to save even more time. And I basically required myself to be on that quota track before before I really did anything. If I didn't make my quota of hours for the day, I couldn't do anything else. Honestly, sometimes this meant I didn't get to do my laundry for that day, or I had to do it super late, or I shouldn't say day, for the week, or whatever chore that was, or clean the kitchen and stuff like that. And eventually, I had to quit exercising as well, and I had to cut back on my sleep just to make that quota, and just to also get things done at work. So you got to set up expectations, right? A boot camp is a great place to advance and accelerate your learning, but learning doesn't really stop when the course is complete. It's more about the journey, not the destination. There's no way to retain all the topics covered in such a short period of time in a boot camp. And a boot camp isn't a place to start from the beginning, right? There's no bandwidth for catch up in a boot camp. Once they're done with the topic, it's the next topic. And if you don't understand the last topic, it's going to be really hard, because the next topic often builds off the last topic, and they need to go through that material to stay on track. So my friends, they knew that I wasn't going to be attending any social events, and anything that I was going to, with my family, that it was going to be, limited. And my wife had to also make this commitment with me, because we both knew, hey, we're going to go to wherever on Christmas Eve. Well, we have to go at a later hour and only stay for a certain point, because I have to get my quota in. So we really had to align our efforts there. It's definitely a team effort between her and I, and especially with those kids. So I spent as much time as I could coding while the kids were sleeping, and try to coordinate times set aside to code with my wife. So that meant, hey, the kids are asleep right now, or they're going to sleep probably till 7 or 8 in the morning, while I need to get up early and I need to code until they wake up. And the kids go to bed at 7 o'clock. Well, that's code time. And on the weekends, really what that meant for me on the weekends is I would get up real early, 5 in the morning, code until 3, 4, 5 p.m. if I had to, and then spend a little bit of time with the family. And then after dinner and the kids go to bed, I go back and code again. So afterwards, after I completed the course, I gotta say, I didn't always enjoy the course. It was really hard. But if it was easy, it wouldn't have been an accomplishment. And I'm far better now at writing code before I took the course. I made some really cool real world projects, and I learned a lot, and I grew a ton. And I enjoy writing code a lot more. And I got exactly what I wanted out of the boot camp. I got an acceleration of my development skills. And afterwards of the course, I want to say, I'd have to count the months, but I want to say 3 months, 4 months after the course, I ended up getting hired as a junior developer. Now, remember, I'm still working full time throughout all that, so I had to switch careers and things like that. But just to give you the summary, after the course, I spent a full month updating our resume, and then I spent a full month updating and actually not even updating, but just creating a portfolio, because I didn't really have one. So a full month resume and portfolio. And then after that, I started going through my network, got a couple interviews that way. And then I just started applying to places where I thought I could get hired. So that's my story in a nutshell. If you have kids, or if you're working full time, you definitely can make it through boot camp. You just have to prepare as much as you possibly can and know that it's going to be hard, real hard. And if you want to do it, you can definitely do it, but you got to really want to do it. So a lot of people in my boot camp ended up dropping out. And that's, I think it's a multitude of things. Mostly those people, I think they were either too busy in other areas of their lives, or they found out that maybe it wasn't for them. And that's okay. Anyways, I hope this video helped you. I would appreciate a subscribe. And if you have questions about my journey or coding boot camps, go ahead and just leave me a comment and I'll get back to you. And otherwise, I'll see you next time.